Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Midwest Mythos. And guys, like I've been telling you week after week since we've gotten into year 2 of this podcast, I am bringing you guys the best of the best. Usually I tell you where you guys can find me and all that kind of stuff right here at the beginning. This week, I got some updates and stuff for you. But this week, I ain't doing all that. We'll do it later. Because this week, I got a great friend. At this point, he's my brother, man. Drewski from Crypto Warfare got us put together, and I can't even tell you how many times we've collabed and just been talking and stuff since then. And, we finally got him here on the show, and I got my boy Trebles from Paranoi Radio this evening. How's it going, brother?
Nice to be here, bro. Thank you so much. Those are very kind words. Shout out to Drewski from Cryptid Warfare Podcast. I mentioned Drewski on every episode, bro. And the reason I do that's because I love what you guys are doing out there in Cryptid Warfare operations. So, and his networking, bro, he is one of the most humbling dudes I know. And yeah, so no, thank you. Thanks the audience. And I want to thank the Lord for allowing me to be here today. And I want to thank every single one of you for allowing me to enter your space. And again, thanks for the platform, bro.
Oh, anytime, brother. I'm just returning the favor. You had me on your show. We had some fun, and we've been on other people's shows together, did some roundtables and stuff, and those were just blasts. So I figured, it's about time we get you on here, and we talk about you, because we've talked about a lot of things. We've talked conspiracies. We've talked a lot about the Lord and what he's done in our lives. But I ain't heard too many of your experience stories. You've given me little bits and pieces and stuff like that, so I'm excited to get into those tonight.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, before we get into that, man, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, where they can find you, what it is that you do?
Thank you again, bro. Yeah, my name is Angel Trebels Garcia, guys. I'm an average dude. The show started about 5 years ago. I'm based in LA. Not that I'm proud of it. But I am one of the only few, and I think I'm probably the only one. And I want to say I'm probably the only beaner with this thick accent doing the things that I'm doing. But I stopped drinking about 8 months ago, and I started diving into the Bible. I started injecting Jesus in everything I do, specifically in my household and on the show. And I've been going on through a transformation. I went into the Bible looking for conspiracy theories and came out holding Jesus' hand. So that's the very first testimony I had to put out. The show is doing great. 5 years in the making, almost 400 episodes, and we revolve around conspiracy theories, cryptid talks, obviously cryptid warfare now, because it's also spiritual warfare, and serial killers and documentaries and health benefits, and we collaborate with a lot of big names and a lot of little names. And you know what? At the end of the day, all that matters is that we're spreading a good message, information, and we're encouraging you guys to go to the search bar and search up the stuff that we're putting out, because I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you guys to go research it. I want you to take 5 seconds of your life and stop scrolling on watching ads on TikTok and actually do the research yourself. So we have this thing called #LookItUp on our show that we encourage you to look it up. And every single time I say #LookItUp is I mean it, bro. Take 5 seconds of your day to go to the search bar and then, find out this information for yourself, and you'll see what you run into, man. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I'm a father. I'm a God-fearing man. I got 2 beautiful daughters, a wife, and I'm kicking ass. Thank God.
Yes, sir. And, I'm going to mention something that you didn't bring up, man. So you're one of the few people that I think is allowed to say this. Brother, I love your confidence and everything. When you say you one of the greatest out there, or you are the greatest out there, guys, he ain't pulling your leg like a bunch of these people. Trebels here, one of the best in the game, man. You ain't going to find hardly anybody, if anybody, that does what he does better than him. I'm going to just say that right now. So
Thank you, bro.
Before you even pause this episode right now, go follow his stuff. Just do it. All right.
I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate your words, kindly and humbly, bro. It's a privilege, bro. It's a privilege to have people that have said that to me, and you're probably one of the only few people that have said that in the past 40 days. They've been troublesome, bro, and I appreciate it. I swear to God, because not only because I stopped drinking, but I've noticed that everything I do, I breathe, I eat, I shit Paranoi Radio, and I do it for a reason. I do it for ambition. I do it because it makes me happy, because I find myself loving myself and praising God. So when you tell me that, I return it back and I give it to God, because if it wasn't for him, I guess I wouldn't be in this position having a beautiful network of friends like you guys. So everything that we're doing together is cohesive for him, bro. You know?
Amen to that. Amen to that, brother. And if you guys could see the conversations outside of what we were recording and stuff, God's bringing us men and women of podcasting and his children in these fields, man. He's bringing us all together, and it's just happening out of nowhere, man. So it's crazy to see what he's doing, and I can't wait to see where he takes each of us on our journeys with him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. All right.
Yeah, bro.
I don't know. I don't even know where you want to start out tonight. If you want to go in like, I would have to say, man, I'm so curious. You texted me and you said, man, I've seen an elf. And that's not something you hear I've heard one other person say that in my entire life. Like, that wasn't on a podcast. So if you want to start there, man, I kind of want to hear about that. And I feel that can lead into a bunch of stuff that we're going to get into.
I was speaking with Jessica Jones recently. Mad shout outs to her too, because she's amazing.
Oh yeah, we love JJ over here.
And she pulled some information out of me. She's good at that. And I told her that I exposed that part about it, because she does it too. She's part of it too. I didn't even know that was a thing where you could dominate and then vividly lucid dream almost every night or whenever you put your mind to. So I've always had like a touch. Guys, by any means, I'm not saying that I'm gifted. I'm not saying that I practice. I've never dabbed into witchcraft. I want to make that very clear. I'm just an average dude with kids and stress and white hairs. All right, bro? Like I have a 9-to-5 job. It's not, trust me, I'm not that very special or different from you guys. I just have that thing where I go to sleep and I could lucid dream and it makes me exhausted at night. The point of that is, I've always had that thing, and I'm not even going to call it a gift because I don't know what it is yet. But when I was 22 years old, I was fresh out of jail, and I went to jail because of allegedly because of anger management, assault with a deadly weapon. Not that I'm proud of it, but I was defending my youngest sister from rape. So the kid who was 18 years old, she was 12. I beat his ass. I went to jail, etc. That's history. But when I came out, I was sober. I wasn't coked out. I wasn't on meth. I wasn't drinking. I came out of work that day and threw myself back on I was sharing the room with one of my brothers, and it was a twin side. We had 2 twin beds. So it's a poverty household, low budget household in LA. And you could tell it's a tight space. So I have 2 brothers. So I'm adopted, by the way. These 2 brothers, they're twins. One of them that I was sharing the room with left to Texas, chasing some girl. So I had the room for myself. But before I left, he left on his bed a mountain of dirty clothes. Average dude, right? So when I get home, I throw myself on my bed. Have you ever had one of those fluoride stares where you're just staring into the nothing and you're just like, and when you're staring into the nothing, you could even see the particles of the dust just floating sometimes.
All the time.
So I'm just having one of those comfortable stares, right? And then that night, it was around 9 p.m. ish, and there was a full moon, and the moon was glaring and then hitting through the window, hitting my brother's bed, and I was just staring into the light, and not into the moon, into the light of the gleaming. So as I'm staring, bro, I see the top of that dirty clothes, that mound, move. And it was one of those things where you're looking at it and your body tells you didn't see anything. Like something in your body tells you you're tripping, bro. You're tripping. And then you're like, that inner voice is telling you like, bro, why are you tripping? You didn't see anything. You're talking to yourself, but you're scared to move your eyes until I see it again. And then I refocus my attention, and I'm like, what the heck was that? And at this time, now I'm staring at the mound. It took about 10 seconds until I seen a little head. Now, this story. I'm 34 today, bro. This story is the same, and I will never in my life say it any other way. It's like if it's happening right now. He came out and he was like over the clothes. Now this guy, his head, I have a little stone here, a little lucky charm. just for perspective, he wasn't bigger than this. He was about or smaller in height than this. So his head was yay big, and I'm talking about his whole body, half of the size of his body was made up of his head. He had a big head. And he pops up with his head. He's like, boom. He looks at me, and then he hides. And I'm at this point, I'm like, boom, and I froze. I didn't freeze in fear. I froze in shock. Like what am I looking at, bro? Like what? And I don't want to curse too much, but I'm like, at this point, my heart's racing, and I'm like, what the heck? And now I'm following it. So I see it jump from the back of the dirty clothes into my dresser, and I could hear him like I could hear him walk on the dresser, jump behind the TV. And mind, dude, back then to have a flat screen TV, you had to have money. It's not like now that they're $150, 50-inch in a Walmart. It's not that, they're not. Back then they were like expensive, over $500. So I'm like, okay. And we had one of those big old the TVs that were high definition, but they had a big ass, the back, the hunchback. Yeah. So I'm looking at it, and then I see it. So he has to crawl behind it. And then back then USBs weren't like stuck. You had the 3 VGA cables, the white, the red, and I think it was black. I don't know. It was 3 different colors. So you have to get behind it and jump through all the cables. A lot more cables out there. So I'm like, what the heck did he go? And I'm staring at it. So throughout this whole time, only about a minute has passed. It feels like I've been staring at him for almost 15 to 20 minutes, but it hasn't. It happened within a minute. Because when I seen it jump, I seen it walk. I heard it walk behind the dresser, and then I heard my dad, my father, get off his bed. So if you ever heard like an old bed squeak when somebody gets off the, like, somebody's getting off very slow, like an older person's getting out of it, and it starts creaking. So I heard the creak of the bed from the other room, and I'm like, what the heck? And then I left the door open, bro, enough where there was like a small slit where he can fit. He pops his head out of the TV like this, looks at me, we stare, we locked eyes. He looks at me like this, and then he goes, boom, and he dashes out the door. A split second before my dad opened the door from his room and walked to the restroom. Now, why is it so significant? I couldn't sleep that night. In fact, I was waiting for it to come back. Looking at the door, I sat down, I started sweating, I sat, I got myself, and so I threw myself back on the bed, sweating, bro. I didn't think of praying at this time. I was a dumbass. I was an immature dude. So what ended up happening was I fell asleep waiting for it. Woke up the next morning, just got off the bed, ran into the kitchen, and my mom was cooking breakfast. And I told my mom, you don't know what I just saw last night. Oh my God. And she's like, what happened? Relax. ¿Qué pasó, mijo? Like, what happened? And I told her, I seen a duende. Now, a duende is it's the Mexican word, not Mexican, the Spanish word for elf. So I was like, so she looked at me, and she didn't smile. She almost grinned. And she looked at me, she's like, you saw an elf? And so I'm like, yes. I'm like, please believe me, please. She was like, mijo, you saw a little people? And I'm like, yeah. She goes, it's okay. Don't talk about it. Don't mention it to anybody else. Don't think about it if you can't. Do not leave offerings, and don't go looking for it. If this creature wants to show himself to you, he will. Consider it a gift. Don't do it again. Just leave it alone. It might happen again. Just leave it alone. What? But she said it so nonchalant, just very like, and I was like, no, you don't understand what I saw. She's like, mijo, I understand what you saw. It's just, I used to see him too when I was a kid. And I'm telling you, don't do it. Mind you, I'm adopted. It's not like if it's a generational curse, because I'm not blood related. It's not maybe she carries it around and then he exposed himself to me. I'm not telling you, again, it's a gift. I'm just telling you, she's telling me that she's had this experience when she was younger. Now she's from Mexico. And this is where I'm going to go next. Then I started deep diving into this. What is it that I saw? And in Europe, they call them brownies. Mm-hmm. And it turns out that, so one of the most prevalent stories in my mom's village was that there was a story called El Acordeón del Duende, which means the elf's accordion. So what happened was the first time that these duendes were manifesting in Guadalajara, one of the first stories that they found in the 1960s was that, and this is a local story from where my mom's from. There was a dude, he was a musician that played the accordion, and he went to play for a wedding. You know, Mexicans and their accordions, and that's how they play their music.
Yeah.
So the wedding went perfect. He got paid. He got his accordion, took it to the side. He got his little sombrero, put it on, and he's walking home. Mind you, this is 1 a.m. You know, it's very dark outside. It's a fairly remote area, and he decides to take the back doors, the back villages, the dirt roads towards his home because they're faster than going all the way through through the center plaza of the city, walking where all the lights at. Right, he just wanted to get home fast, so he took the back roads. The dude ends up going, and as he's crossing this big old olive tree, he gets stopped by 6 little elves, and this is gonna trip you out, bro. He gets stopped by tiny little 6 elves, and one of them, the leader, tells him, hey, play us some music, and we'll give you some gold. We'll give you jewelry. We'll give you riches. Just play some music for us. We want to dance. In his shock, he starts walking with them, going home, playing his accordion. He feels like he only played for a couple of minutes. He played for 10 years. A time lapse. He lost time. Now, this is what happened next. After 10 years, his feet were beat. His pants were ripped. His hands had long nails, long hair. But he didn't age. His skin was just like he was 10 years ago. His clothes was dirty. It looked like he came out of a 10-year travel out of the woods, but he was still young. He walks out, and he's tripping the freak out, and he's walking back to his old home, and he gets to his home. His gate is different. There's a new color at the door. It's a new residency. It looks different. So he opens the gate, he knocks on the door, and his wife comes out. Mind you, his wife was pregnant when he left to that wedding. His wife was pregnant again, but this time she walks out, she opens the door, she goes, Emilio, his name was Emilio, and she covers her mouth. She goes, where have you been the last 10 years? And he's like, I'm just coming back from the wedding. And then she looks at him, and he's like, what the heck? Another man pops up. Now she's remarried. Mm-hmm. Okay? And then like the guys, who's this? He goes, él es Emilio, el papá de Emilio. Emilio, the father of Emilio. So I guess they had a child, right? So then Emilio, the son, walks out. And he comes out and he looks at him. And he goes, you're Emilio? And he smirks. And he grins at his dad, bro. Mind you, I'm Emilio now. I'm outside and I have my freaking, my accordion. I'm like, I'm shook. I'm watching my wife with another man. She's pregnant. And I see this 10-year-old guy that comes out and he looks at me and he grins at me. And the son looked just like the leader of the duende that officially stopped them 10 years ago. So at that split moment, bro, the dude ends up coming to realization that they didn't steal time from him. They stole his seed. The kid was demonic because he only grinned at him. The guy went crazy. Emilio, the father, went crazy, pulled back. He started drinking, he walked and he pathed and he paced. He walked from the wedding, the same path, every single night of his life, trying to replicate and get those 10 years back, trying to meet those duendes again. He played that accordion until he was too old to play, and he carved the 6 faces of the duendes on the accordion. He gave the accordion away, and he passed away as a drunk in the streets of that village.
Dude.
Now that, and she told me this story, and I was like, what the crap, bro? That's just, call it lore if you want. But that connects because I've seen it, bro. My mom said that she used to watch him swing off little bushes into the little pond in the back of her farm. I mean, these entities are real, bro. Now we could dive into what they are, how they exist, why they appear. We could dive into all of that. But today I wanted to present it first as lore, as a story.
Yeah, dude. So first off, man, I love hearing this, like the Mexican folklore from down there. I grew up. I'm from a farm area. Half my friends are Mexican, so I grew up hearing all these different stories, like La Llorona, so like small ones that I can't even remember the name of because they're not big. They're just like local stories in the villages from out in the mountains. Like I got some friends whose families own ranches hundreds of miles away from the nearest town, just out in the middle of the mountains out there, and they sound very like fantastical, I guess. But the thing about them is like that story, it's like very grounded. And if you do any, like people like you and I who research the stuff, look into it, they make the most sense. Like they don't sound out of this world at all. There's like very plausible, just, oh, you're just living your life and these things just happen, compared to when you look at stuff from across the ocean and like Europe, China and stuff like that. Everything's like super, like crazy stuff, that weird anomalies, like crazy weather that's never been seen before. But when you get into not even just Mexican, but all like South American folklore, it's very, very simple, which makes me believe these stories a lot more. And the possibility, obviously, if they're going from generation to generation, there's a whole telephone effect, but there's always still that layer of truth to them. And none of the things are, I think the craziest thing I've ever heard come out of South America or Central America is like the Mapinguari, which is that giant sloth-like thing with the face in its belly that eats people's souls and stuff like that. But everything else, like duenede, chupacabra, La Llorona, all this stuff, it's like not that crazy compared to a lot of these other cryptids and fantastical beasts. Like, so I don't know what it is, man.
That story has a lot of elements that today we call the Oz factor, the time lapse, the loss of navigation, the non-aging part of it, right? The spiritual aspect of stealing your seed, your child, right? Through not only manipulating you, but manipulating her, if anything. And then the kid, and then the loss of, like, how, if you see, I'm from LA, so the homelessness here is insane. It's, believe me, when people say the homelessness in LA is crazy, they're cutting it short, bro, because of lack of other words. But it's horrible. So when I see homeless people outside, and the moment they start like talking to themselves or singing to themselves and acting all ridiculously, I tend to think, okay, you might be drunk or you might be mentally ill. I believe that, the scientific term for it, right? But what got you to that spectrum? What got you to that dimension? Why are you talking to voices? Who are they? What is it? And then I think about that man, Emilio, going back, walking the same path every night, singing, drunk, trying to replicate the night again, to find those 6 voices that told him to play the accordion for him. So I connect him, like, he was just like another homeless man here. You know, it's like, what the heck, bro? And they knew him as the wino, the dude, the drunk from the local drunk, you know. And it's in the small villages, it's very prevalent. I also, not that this connects, but my real parents, my genetic parents, are from Guatemala. So my mother, and I said this on Nephilim Death Squad, my mother comes from a family and a household of 11 kids. She was number 9, I believe. So when my grandmother had her, she pooped her out, basically just pooped her out, grabbed her and threw her in the trash. The person that picked up my mom out of the trash was her grandmother, which makes her my great-grandmother. My great-grandmother picked her up, and my great-grandmother was a local medium. Now, when I'm saying local medium in Central America, I'm not talking about curanderas or botanicas. I'm not talking about Santeria. No, I'm talking about this lady, no crystal balls, no gypsy stuff. Like, this lady dove into the dark of magic to talk to dead or other demons so that she could get paid and have blood sacrifices with other men. And I'm going to explain how. She was the local witch. So when my mom was picked up from her, by her, I'm sorry, the locals would come to the house and ask for favors and ask for entities to help and mediate situations, to be detoxified. She would pull hair strands out of people's throats and balls out of people's guts, like with through fight magic with magic, etc. and etc. So what she would do was she would have the family pay a price, and the price was the man had to sleep with her. So the man would sleep with her, and she would do the ritual. And a couple nights after, she would come back and go at night, turn to a wild hog, and murder the man. And this is from my mother's mouth, how I know this story. So she would become a wild hog and then kill the man she would sleep with. And in return, she was a very powerful lady. And in return, after doing that, she killed almost 14 men. And it's still to this day, in many of these villages and even in Mexico, what they do is they stone people to death if you mess with a married man. That's just, people take that to the law. They, like, if you mess with a married man, they'll strangle you, they'll throw you in the middle of the street, and they'll stone you to death in the middle of the street. So that's what they did. They stoned her to death and they killed her. My mom then followed up by becoming following her into in her steps. I don't think she was fully committed, but yeah, she would. My mom would tell me a story once where they slept in hammocks. So my mom would have long black silky black hair, and she threw her hair back into a hammock, and then she would go to sleep. And then the next day, she would feel like at night the spirit of her grandmother walk by, and then braid her hair, and then so she could become more powerful. And there's a thing to that, because the way you could take a person's energy away, essence, charisma, and all this stuff, is by rubbing their hair towards you. It's like a ritual, like an occult meaning. Hair is very important. So then, so when I was like, what the heck, when she told me that, I was like, I didn't understand it. But now that I know more about, the cryptids and witchcraft and other stuff that really does exist, the knowledge of it, I'm like, oh snap. So she was introduced into some stuff by a demon, because that's basically what it is.
Yeah, that whole hair thing reminds me of Samson in the Bible too. I mean, just like, as long as like he had his hair, he was insanely powerful. But the second his hair was cut, he lost all his power, and he had to with the comb and stuff, maintain it to keep his hair, and that just, so there's right there's your, for people questioning that, like, well, there's evidence of something similar in the scriptures, and so I can see that happening, just them doing that. And I want to hit the rewind button, because when you were doing that, I pulled something up, this about the story of Emilio and the Duende. So up in Michigan, there's this dude. This happened next to the Lake Michigan Triangle too. There's this dude named Stephen Kubacki, and he was just, this happened in 78. He was just hiking one day, disappeared. 15 months later, they found him like 40 miles away from where he disappeared. He got back. He thought he was just hiking. They're like, "Where you been?" He's like, "I was hiking," and he didn't realize. They're like, "Yeah, dude, we've been dead. We had a few." He's like, "You've been dead. We've had a funeral, everything for you, and you're just here. You don't remember anything." He's like, "No, I was hiking, and then I just woke up in a field, and yeah, 15 months hasn't passed for me."
Holy cow!
Yeah, that just reminded me of that. You telling me, so I had to look it up to figure it out. So
it's kind of what happens too when people get abducted, right? They lose track of time, they lose memory, right? I've heard stories of people even aging inside out and not necessarily showing on their skin. There's a story about the Devil's Pass, also in Russia, where, and people might, I guess, got to look it up. It was in the early 1900s, I believe. there was poster boards for athletic college kids all together. They were very, they were savvy. They knew what they were doing outside in the wild. So what they did was they climbed the Devil's Pass in Russia, and they went camping. So I think it was 6 of them. They got into their cave. They ate, grub, fell asleep, and then what happened was after was trippy, bro. The remains of them, one of them was hanging off a tree with their flesh skinned right off their body. Another one, and they were all naked, by the way. The other one had his eye sockets pulled out, his tongue pulled out. The other one had all of his organs were crushed inside of his body, except for they didn't show any bruising in their body. Like if something squished them, but without hurting them. It's insane. The other ones went missing. The other 2 were found down the river. They were all dead. But the thing that really tripped out was there was no markings of struggles or fights. It's like if nothing came to their tent and pulled them out of the tent. It's like they went crazy inside of the tent, got naked, folded their clothes, neatly put them aside, and then ran into the wild and proceeded to being demolished. So, and on top of that, they also found huge remains of radiation, which is another thing that trips people out, right?
Hey man, we mashing cups tonight.
Oh yeah, Ancient Enigma. Mad shout outs, bro. Hell yeah. And shout outs to Inquiries of Our Reality. He's a badass too. We've had him on the show, man. He's a badass dude.
Oh yeah, man. I love Shane, man. This show would not be possible without Shane. He helped me get started with all this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. That whole pass, man. Actually, one of the best. It's gonna sound stupid. I was watching some Abominable Snowman documentary. It wasn't even one that was on the TV networks or anything. It was just some dude made one in his YouTube, and it was like one of those 4.5-hour YouTube documentaries that you can just find out there that somebody made. And the detail that he went into, he was able to get some of the pictures and stuff from it. It's just insane what happened there. And like you said, it's just weird. It looks like they started freaking out, but they put their clothes nicely and keep them it's like -30 out there.
Yes.
That's the wild part about all of it that people don't even think about is how cold it is in that area. Like year round, it doesn't get warm.
I have another one. I did this deep dive on the show. Man, I wonder, this is like the juicy part of the show, guys. So you guys made it this far. The next part is gonna kick ass. I'm telling you. I had an episode on my show. If you guys want to get more into detail, I'm gonna give most of the presentation here today. In fact, give me a couple minutes here. Do a promo skip, bro. I'm gonna try to find my notes. I wasn't ready.
Oh yeah, man. You're all good. So, guys, yeah, you know what? This is fine. I hope you guys are enjoying this so far. It's a blast, and I'm probably gonna edit this part out, and it's all right. But if I don't, and y'all are seeing this is the cool behind the scenes stuff you guys miss.
Oh yeah, yeah, because we're regular people, man. We're regular folks.
Yeah. See, so yeah.
So there's a story about this South Korean chick, Canadian chick that comes from South Korean parents, and she's Canadian, and she you could find the story about the Cecil Hotel. Cecil, I don't know what you guys want to call it, guys. I have a thick accent. I'm freaking sorry, but I found it on Netflix, and then I'm like, that story does not sound right. I'm like, that story, I know that story, and it doesn't go like that. So if you guys find it, her name is Elisa Lam, and this is gonna trip you out, bro. I'm not gonna give you the fluffed up version. All right, it's a suicide mission. It's a cryptic death of a 90-pound Asian student girl that was on the road to uncover classified cloaking South Korean and U.S. military applications. And she was a patient of a mental disease, bipolar, stress, psychosis, depression, and anxiety, or like many would say, demon possessed. All right. So before anything, I want to make sure that you guys drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcast for Midwest Midwest Mythos because he's a badass host and has a badass show. Guys, Elisa Lam, she was a blogger, and she was on summer vacation, and she decided to go to the Cecil Hotel. And she got I think a lot of the reason why a lot of people go to the Cecil Hotel. Now, if you guys don't know about the Cecil Hotel is one of the most haunted places in the world. Not just LA, it's in the world. Black Dahlia, Aleister Crowley has open portals here. Satanic worshippers. I'm talking about the elite of the darkest of the darkest, bro. Serial killers. What's his name? Hernandez. One of the serial killers have lived here and died here. And the Cecil Hotel is infamous for also having the cheapest rooms in Skid Row. Now, she decided to be here, and I'm like, why would a mid-class Canadian college student with a very conservative background just go to the worst part of LA and stay there? Doesn't matter how cheap it is. I don't give a crap. No one's gonna stay there for that cheap, especially if you're like, you come from a conservative family. People are gonna be like, no, you're not going there. Like, it's just natural for people. But she was investigating a South Korean general that was connected to the U.S. military and U.S. military application with cloaking devices in South Korea. So she was trying, and then coincidentally, that building was also located next to the Cecil Hotel, which is the one where she was going to start sleeping in so that she can investigate that place. It ends up being in. What happens is that she shows up, she clocks in, she gets her room, and it ends up saying she didn't bring her meds. I don't know what it is that she went crazy, but she started walking and pacing the hallways, screaming, talking, laughing, like if she was talking to a little girl. She was just acting really erratic, as if she was seeing things. Mind you, she probably was, because this place, again, is the most haunted place in the Western Hemisphere, amongst other ones, right? But what happens after is trippy, because everybody in that floor started completely stopped, like they complained about her, and they went back to the receptionist and they told them, hey, you need to move this girl. So then this girl comes, and they gave her, in order so that she could be at peace with everybody else, they gave her the key to the higher floors. Not the key to the roof, not the key to the suites, but a key so that you could hit the elevator, and then the elevator would take you to the higher floors, right? Because it only goes so far. So they gave her access to the higher floors, and they gave her a new room. They moved her. What happens after is a trip. Mind you, this little Asian chick, she's 90 pounds. And she was found after she played the elevator game. So if you guys look up the elevator game, it's a trip. You press different amounts of numbers in the elevator, then the elevator takes you to an unknown floor, and then you reach the back end, like you reach back spaces, the hallways. Have you ever heard about that? Where you reach like a section of the store where you're not supposed to, and you just get lost forever?
Yeah, like the back rooms and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, man. Dude, that's
so.
Tough.
In the footage, they find her pressing the numbers. So mind you, she's on, I think it was on level 27 or 23, and she's pressing all the numbers, but the doors never close. And I'm thinking, maybe you need the key fob to close, or maybe you need the key fob to move. But no, because when she leaves, the doors close. When she comes back in, it doesn't close. And she's pressing all the numbers. And I'm thinking, why wouldn't it move? If you're in the third floor and you're pressing 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, but you're in 3 and you're pressing 3, it's going to stay in 3 because that's the floor you're at. And then it's going to go to the nearest floor according to the sequence you pressed, right? I would assume.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the heck? So there's nothing blocking this door. This is one of the old school ass elevators where you put your foot, and it'll just, if it hits, it'll stop, and it'll, a significant force enough to push the door back a little to reopen, but nothing was obstructing the doorway. So I'm thinking, what's happening here? So there has to be some type of entity already messing around, trying to keep her from going somewhere or directing her. So it's not, they weren't trying to contain her. They were trying to direct her. She ends up going to the roof of the hotel. This is where it gets interesting. There was no broken window. She had no access to the key fob for the emergency exit. She didn't climb out the window. She didn't bring down the side rails. She simply appeared out there. She showed up, and she was at the roof of this hotel. Now, I did some deep dives on the water tanks on top of these hotels at the time. And the lid is 75 pounds, bro. It's a 15-foot deep water tank. Okay, bro? You have to climb 15 feet to get to the top and then move a 70-pound lid with a space that's about 3x4. And then when you go in there, the water is so deep, you have to swim to stay up. So she took off her clothes. She moved. She's a 90-pound Asian chick. She moves 70 by holding onto the ladder, moves the lid. So what I'm trying to get at is she needed help, right? By not only by accessing the top floor, but also by getting on top of the freaking water tower. So I'm giving you details here. She takes off all her clothes. She's naked now. She puts her clothes folded nicely again, exactly that same connection, reoccurring thing, right? She leaves it to the side, and then as she's swimming in 15 feet of water, she closes the lid on herself. You can't do that. You're staying afloat. You're only 90 pounds, and you need to move a 75-pound door on top of you to close it while swimming at the same time. It's kind of hard to, you can't be that athletic, lady. So So I'm like, okay, this sounds already off. She closes it. Now, days go by, and all the remaining residents at the time of the Cecil Hotel, they said that their water was stinking. The water pressure was low. The water was yellow, and there was an ugly stench in the water. Then the investigation started. They said, what's happening with the water? So they go back to the water tower. They open the water tower, and they find her body. She's dead. Now, when they pulled her out, they saw that she did not die drowning. She had no water in her lungs. So she was there dead already when she was dropped in there. She didn't die because of suffocation. She had no water in her lungs. And this is going to sound funny and disgusting. So, guys, if there's any children in the room, walk away. Her asshole was prolapsed. So what happened was these water tanks have like a water socket very tight. So whenever open, there's water pressure going down. It sucks up. So she probably dead or alive, I don't know, sat on it. The water pressure pulled her down, sat on it, and then it sucked her pink sock out, basically. So that was prolapse. Then they grabbed her. They took her out, and the doctors and everybody, the detectives, they didn't do the investigation right. And this is what they're not going to tell you on Netflix. They didn't give her a rape kit. They didn't test her for party drugs. They only said that she was missing she was missing so much of her daily doses for her psychiatric medicine. So she wasn't taking her meds, bro. That's all they checked her for, but they didn't check her. They didn't rape kit her. They didn't check for party drugs. Any other people, if somebody had, like dropped something on her drink or anything, it was retarded. So after she was pulled off and they grabbed her and they deemed her suicide or whatever, even against all the stuff that I'm telling you, as soon as they pronounced her dead, because only a doctor can pronounce you dead, there was a huge outbreak. You could find this out. There was a huge outbreak of hepatitis B. As soon as she died, hepatitis B in Skid Row. Her name is Elisa Lam. Do you know what the testing kit for the hepatitis B was called? The one that the government, it was called Lam Elisa. Her name upside down. Now, guys, I do not know how and why they would change the name or why the name matches. But what I do know is there's no such thing as coincidences. There's only consequence, bro. Okay, so you could, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's still a mystery of how this happened, but it's one of the most disturbing things that happened here in LA and that people just forgot about. Trip out, man.
Yeah. Oh, like I've heard of the Cecil Hotel and stuff like that from they Ghost Adventures and all them guys have been there doing paranormal investigations and stuff. But like the Elisa Lam story, like I heard about recently, and it was just like, this you telling me right now is the first time I've heard the story in depth. All I've heard before was, a tiny girl drowned in a water reservoir tank on a roof of a building. But dude, I'm getting all that keeps on going through my head right now is the Havana Project.
What? What is that?
They did. So the Havana Project. So a bunch of I'm gonna give like the quick breakdown. Hashtag look it up. But basically, the CIA and stuff like that was working on the thing to where they could send frequencies into your head to make voices and play. I believe it was also, I might be getting two different projects mixed up, or it might just be different. It was like Project Voice of God, and it was this. They were blasting super focused radio waves and other waves into people's heads to make them hear these voices, and then they would also get insanely sick. People died in some cases. People would report having headaches and stuff like that. All right, now I remember. Voice of God's a different thing. That's the thing where people hearing radio waves in their fillings and stuff like that. Yeah, but the Havana Project is like causes people to act irrational and stuff too, because they were going to use it during the Cold War in Havana to cause turmoil and all this stuff, because it was a very I'm trying to think of the right word without just saying dangerous environment. But it was very hostile with the Cuban Missile Crisis and all that kind of stuff too. But people reporting her in the hallway being erratic and talking to these things, like she's hearing these voices in her head. And if there's this whole thing, the hepatitis outbreak because of her, maybe they dosed her up, gave her that kind of stuff, and made it all look like a suicide attempt. Wow. So who knows that? But that's all that was playing through my head. All right, they got inside this girl's head and caused her to do all this kind of stuff. But
the way they closed the case was, like that was incomplete. It was incomplete. Why do you guys? It's just retarded. I find it dumb. Yeah, and you and I could, the way our beliefs and stuff like that, easily say they could be working the higher ups can be working with demons, and they can do the exact same thing. Who's to say that the Van Project wasn't just that? People making contracts with familiars and stuff to cause these people to do this kind of stuff. And if that's the location, like you said, it's Skid Row. It's the Cecil Hotel that's already had all this crazy stuff happen there. I mean, it wouldn't be hard to find an entity there, something to make a pact with to do this kind of thing, So it's wild how all these different things can connect to nothing's in this world is standalone by itself. Nothing. I completely agree, and I'm gonna have to get a little conspiratorial. So now I'm gonna give you a little dose of conspiracy.
Let's hit it. Let's get it, brother.
Bro, the truth is rhythm, algorithm, beats influence your body. From when you're a little kid and you hear a nice little song, what does your body automatically do? Dance, right? Latinos, you put a little merengue on me right now, I'll start dancing. It's just what people say. It's in my blood, and they say, right? It's influential. Beat, frequency. When you're at church, a lot of the times when the Holy Spirit begins to manifest is because of the frequency you guys collectively have created in the room, in that brick and mortar, using the frequencies of coming out of those instruments, being guided by this Holy Spirit in full circle, right? Again, so as humans, we seem to be very docile, very easy to manipulate, because we have something that many other creatures don't have. It's called sympathy. It's called emotion. I'm not saying dogs don't feel emotion. I'm saying we care too much about our emotions. We're not primal about it. We have this thing called sympathy. It's called the human factor. That's more morality kicks in and you're like, that's not right. It's not okay. You could tell when people are lying. Animals don't. Animals just protect. They're always flatter, they're always ready to fight, always protecting, and the word is surviving. So when the Bible also mentions that duality and these magic rituals and everything has been presented to us, and not only presented to us, but also has been manipulated by us. So when you tell me that they were throwing frequencies to make you hear voices in your head, I believe it at 1,000%. Why do you think they have 5G Wi-Fi towers everywhere, and that they used the time when you were in quarantine to put them up and blast them all over the freaking metropolitan areas in smart cities? It's not so that you could have better Wi-Fi signal, bro. Shut the front door. It's so that they could have feedback and use you as a mind. The more condensed the most condensed people are in one city, that is the new mining station. That's the new cave where you're going to be able to mine not only data, right, but also be able to blackmail people and keep on behaving at a low frequency pattern. They disconnect you from time. They disconnect you from being able to hunt and gather. They disconnect you from your seasons. They disconnect you. They cover the sun. They cover worship. They cover Jesus Christ, not only by freaking bombarding you with negative freaking frequencies and drug abuse, but also the music, with the entertainment, with the sex, with the porn. So they add so many elements at the same time that every single one of your senses is corrupted. And then it becomes a chain reaction because you're getting high, because you're all messed up, and because you can't collect rainwater in California because it's illegal. It's a freaking felony. # look it up. Those are the things that I'm telling you about. They keep you dependent on them so that you could continue consuming their shit. And then in return, you have another baby with a woman you don't want because she's sick and you're sick, and the baby has your bad fucking genes because all the fucking food that you consume is fast fucking food and food that you could buy with EBT because you can't grow your own good food. And it keeps on coming. Now your kid's sick. He needs extra shots. You see what I'm saying here, right?
Oh, yeah, bro. Oh,
it's huge, bro.
Bro, have you heard? You've had to heard what they're trying to do with these 15-minute cities.
Yes,
dude. Never have to leave go more than you, and possibly won't be allowed to.
You already. So
more than 15 minutes.
Check this out. So I'm like, okay. The EV mandate has been lifted, and there's a big scandal today. Today is the day that thing came out. And I don't want to get political, but the thing where Elon Musk and Trump are fucking going at it. Elon Musk said that he was on NFC files. Blah, blah, blah. I still think it's a marketing stunt. Because if I know these guys, I'm not gonna say anything very political here, but I've seen Donald Trump take on court cases. I've seen him take rape cases, felony charges, and even fucking bullets. I think he can take a little heat from Elon Musk. Relax, people. Relax. Okay, guys? Let's just chill for a moment. It's just marketing. They're controlling the entertainment. That's what it is. But and I'm not saying I trust one or the other. I'm just saying what they're doing is conquer and divide. So I lost my train of thought here, but you mentioned, what was it you mentioned? Sorry, bro. I'll reel it back in.
You're all good. The 15-minute cities.
15-minute cities. So yeah. So they just uplifted the EV mandate, which means by 2030 you don't have to have an EV if you don't want to. You could access to it, but you have access to it, but you don't have to. You could still have your oil and your gas combustion car, right? Like your regular vehicle. So what happens is, what they wanted to do originally was push this mandate so that you can have a car that you could only charge at night or 2 times a week, depending on your location, because the grid can't take so much effort. In the summer, while everybody has their ACs on, they could control who has the energy to power up their cars so that they could pay more for electricity. And then on top of that, your car is being charged up with electricity that runs on a computer that could be shut off at any given moment. they're not going to want to charge you for charging your car, but they're also going to want to charge you for the amount of miles you drive around your city, like they already started doing in New York. So you're like, oh, look at that. So now you're paying for the mileage, you're paying for the electricity, but you're also paying to travel. Not only travel within your city, but travel to commute, to go to work, to continue to pay them. You see what I'm saying, right? It's a freaking cycle I'm talking about, bro. And then now they're not controlling that, but if in case you want to go to Tennessee to go watch the cryptid warfare operations and Midwest Mythos hunt for freaking apes and stuff for Sasquatch, you can't. You know why? Because the moment you cross California lines, your car shuts off. And now what you're gonna do, bro? You don't have an analog car anymore. You're assed out. It's talk about full dominion control on everything that you do.
It's insane, man. Well, they up in Michigan, thank God it did not get passed. They wanted to do it nowhere near as bad as what you guys got in LA, man. I will be consistently praying for you that this stuff you're able to get out of it if you need to by then. But like they were trying to implement a new tax on how much you drive. So when we renew our registration, it's going to cost way more if you drive a lot more and the type of fuel that you use. So if you're driving like a foreign and you got to use the super premium gas, like it'll go, your price will go down because you're not putting out as many emissions. Or if you have your diesel and you're running extra def in your stuff, it'll go down. But if you're paying regular grade gasoline and stuff like that, your prices were going to go way up, and you have to enter what's in on your odometer, and they'll check your odometer and stuff like that to make sure you're not lying and stuff like that. Little trackers in your car. They wanted to do all that. Thank God it didn't get passed, and I don't live in Michigan no more. But still, that's insane, dude. They do not want us to talk about that. I'm not even gonna lie. I wouldn't be surprised if us talking about this gets this episode shadow banned. Because people don't want to. Not that I'm trying to be I'm getting shadow banned, dude. Because there's people play that up to do that. Yeah, which I never have been, but they don't like it when we talk about this kind of stuff because hopefully people hear it and learn. It's loose for signs. The Bible talks, man. There's signs for everything.
Yeah, I remember one time I was recording with my best friend. In the beginning of the show, we would record in my car every single night, and we would very passionately. And I remember those days because that's what started the show. And I was sending messages to him recently, and I was like, well, remember when we used to just do things in the car, regardless of fame, regardless of people, just do our shit like without any feeling, just be friends and shit. And I remember and I told him, remember what happened with Glitches? So we did an episode called Glitches in the first 100 episode of the show. Glitches by far was the best show for the first 150 episodes of the show. Glitches was legendary. It was life-changing for us. Not only because it was great content, we talked about the simulation theory, but because when I was in the car talking about simulation theory, they shut the whole grid down. When I mentioned the same things of simulation and God and exposing Satan recently, about 3 weeks ago, when I was recording with Cesar Pagan from the Frequency 369 podcast, I was recording with him, and he could attest to this. I started talking about the simulation, and they shut me down. My computer was on because it has battery, but the Wi-Fi was down and everything. We had to restart the show. Ask them. I'm not lying. Then it's happened a couple of times, and it's always when I talk about stuff like that, and then I start mentioning how COVID and what they did to us mentally, and what they did to us with the face diaper, and how they manipulated us, how they stole our identities by covering our faces, how we got confused now, why the devil was able to infiltrate our identity because we forgot who we are, and we forgot who we worship and who we are connected to and who we are supposed to worship. By covering our freaking faces and not allowing us to breathe, and also smile at each other. I walk, and I'm gonna tell you why smiling is so important. Because when I walk into a room and I smile to my friends, no matter how much I feel, how hot I am, or how heavy I am with pain or anger or emotion, when I smile, there's a frequency that people see when you smile that reverberates, bro, so high, and it shares around the room. And I could hear people laugh in their cubicles one by one in a matter of 15 minutes because of that one smile. It's a ripple effect, bro. You attack the ether with energy and power and pulsating energy. And I'm like, dude, and the reason I'm saying that is because when they robbed us from our thing, when they told our kids that you need to cover your face, when they told us that you couldn't step close to each other, when we couldn't connect with the world, bro, and they started connecting us through these things instead, bombarding us with more radiation and keeping an eye on us. Right now, we're being watched and censored at the same time. When they told us all this, they stole our imagination, our creativity power, but most importantly, our connection to God, to Son, to Jesus, to the Bible, to Scripture, to belief. You know, it's just down, bro. It's chain reaction. So I always people think I'm nuts, bro. Think like, dude, you freaking talk so much shit, bro. And I'm like, bro, look, bro, I'm gonna tell you this, man. I can't listen to music. I can't watch TV. I can't watch movies anymore because I see symbols and satanic symbols everywhere. And I come from an era, bro, where I was, as a kid, I would playing dodgeball outside, basketball outside, on a skateboard outside instead of being on a freaking tablet. So I'm already used to not being on the TV. I have a PS5 that I haven't touched in freaking years. It's like I can't, because now I'm neck deep into the conspiracy and the reality of life. You know, it's insane, bro. Sorry, I'm talking too much.
No, you good, bro. And I get that because like I'm the last generation of kids that regularly played outside. You know, I'm 25 now, but like I remember even when I was in like high school when it was a lot more gaming and stuff like that. Like when I was kids, like we'd all hang out, we'd ride our bikes around. We lived like next to Lake Michigan and stuff, so we had like woods and like we all lived in wooded areas, so we had dirt roads, just riding up and down those dirt roads for days. And then at nighttime, when it got dark, that's when we came in. We played the Xbox, played the Wii, played the PlayStation, whatever it was, watched TV or something, watched a movie or something like that. But until it got dark and we couldn't be outside no more, if we weren't having a fire, we went inside and we played the games and stuff like that. But like my little brother, my youngest brother, who's 8 years younger than me, kid could work an iPod by the time he was 2. And when he had asked my parents, hey, can I have a buddy come over? His buddy would bring his Xbox over and they would just sit in his bedroom and play video games together that they could be doing online. So even like the face-to-face interaction, hanging out, they're not even face-to-face. They're in different corners of the room, staring at a screen, playing the video games and stuff like that. And I'm not going to bad talk playing video games because I still play my fair share, but I also will do other stuff. I still like to go outside. I still like to go on hikes and all that stuff. I like to have buddies over and we just talk or go do something. But like, you're right. When you take that away, the face-to-face, the smiles, man, you've done enough. You've seen me enough on camera. I'm always smiling, man. And it doesn't help that I look super pissed off when I don't. That's just the way my face is. But yeah, no, everybody's like, man, Riley, I love being around you because you're smiling at church. Man, Riley, you always got a big old smile on your face. And I was like, yeah. And me and my wife were fighting 10 minutes before we got here this morning. Yeah, but guess what? I'm going to put on a smile because, that's what we need to do. It doesn't matter how tough it is. And I'm really glad you brought that up, man. So if anything, guys, if you take anything from this, just smile, man. Hashtag look it up.
Yes.
But man, we're sitting here in about an hour, and me and you could go on and on and on. I mean, if the track record follows, we'll be talking together, whether on one of our shows or somebody else's show on a roundtable here in the next couple weeks, man. So I think this will be a good place right here to wrap it up for the night. How about you tell everybody where they can find you one more time? And thank you for being here.
Bro, I have to be honest with you, bro. There's a lot of us in the game right now that are just here for likes, are just here for the fame. And don't get me wrong. I want the likes and I want the fame too. But I'm not here for that. I'm not here for that. Exactly. I'm here. I'm here to connect. You saw something that happened today in one of our chats. And originally, the reason I was out of the other chat, the bigger chat, was because I said, I'm here to rub elbows, not egos. I'm here to communicate with people in podcasts and create. That's what I'm good at. I'm not here to fight. I'm not here to see if you have an emotion. That's your emotion, not mine, et cetera, and et cetera. So without saying that, on top of that, the reason I'm saying that is because you do not stop what you're doing. Continue connecting, continue dropping bombs, continue recording relentlessly. Love yourself. And if you find a passion for this, continue growing on it and sharpening it and sharpening it. As long as we're friends and as long as we continue collaborating with each other, we're always going to help each other out. And,
Yes,
and obviously under God. So I want to thank the Lord for allowing me to be here today. And I want to thank every single one of you for allowing me to enter your space. I want to remind you guys that the most important thing that you could do for any show today is word of mouth. And check everybody out. Drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify on Midwest Mythos and also on Paranoi Radio Podcast. Guys, you could find me for free. Absolutely. And I do have a message. It is June. And today we reclaim the rainbow. It is June. And before it was a month about celebrating how many penises you could take through the back door, it was a month of celebrating Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. So check on your brother, check on your sister, check on your father, on your uncles, on your cousins, and message them. Tell them, what are you doing? Reach out to people. If you guys are contemplating or entertaining the idea of suicide, I need you to reach out. When you go to paranoiradio.com, you don't need to press on anything or follow or listen to nothing. The first thing that you see is a pop-up for a 24/7 lifeline button where you could text, chat, or call anybody and put your burden on somebody else. All it takes is 5 to 10 seconds more of life so that you can live longer for your loved ones. Nobody needs people crying for you off and yourself. So put your burden on somebody else. And believe me, as a recovering addict, I'm telling you that right now, even I have had that. I'm going through that right now. So I use this as an escape. And I'm also using this to reach out to you. Guys, go to paranoiradio.com. And if you don't want to talk to a freaking person that's just random, you want to have a connection to the podcaster you just saw and watched and admire, then go to Paranoi Radio on Instagram. And my number is associated to that account. And you can text me. As long as I'm not with my family, I'm going to always make time for the people that need help. So by all means, guys, reach out. And again, Midwest Mythos, bro, you're freaking badass, bro. Thank you so much for allowing me to come.
Anytime, brother. Trebles, thank you for all the great words tonight, man. Thank you for bringing just everything that you brought to the table today, man. This was an awesome conversation. And guys, thank you for bringing it up, man. Men's health, mental health awareness. Y'all have heard my stuff. I've been deep in it. Trebles, he's been in it too. A lot of us men have, and not everybody talks about it. And I know it's hard, and there's a stigma behind it, but reach out, because that's all it takes. If I'm being honest with y'all, if I wouldn't have reached out, I wouldn't be here today.
Wow.
So I just want you guys to know you're not too cool. You're not too prideful in yourself to reach out and get help, man. Because I'll tell you what, I don't even care if I don't know you or nothing. I don't care if I don't ever speak to you in my entire life. I love you, and I want you here.
Word.
And Jesus wants you here. You know, he's got his time for you to meet him, and that's on him. He decides that. We don't end it too soon. There's too much good in life. Don't let the bad get to you. You know, I know we talked about some negative stuff today, but we also talked about some good stuff today. And guess what? The good stuff always takes over.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Guys, go leave Trebles a 5-star review, comment on it, share his show everywhere, share this show, leave 5-star reviews for everybody. And if you see some of our friends in some of our episodes, go leave them 5-star reviews too. And guys, thank you again for being here this week. Love each and every one of you. Remember, find your piece of the puzzle, bring it in. If you want to talk, you can reach out to me too. I'm here. I love talking to you guys. And with that being said, God bless you guys, and I'll catch you all next week. Bye.